Hey, what is up guys, Gypsy, and we are back here today for NPL Week 5 of Season 8. And this week we are going to be taking on Cheeseboy 6-8 in what should be a pretty fun game in my opinion. Cheese isn't off to the hottest start this season, but to be honest, it's no reason to take him lightly. He's certainly a very good player when he puts his head to it. When he puts his mind to it, and he proved that last season by doing really well in the regular season and putting himself into a playoff position. So he's definitely a threat in the NPL, and honestly I wouldn't be surprised to see him bounce back from his rocky start. He did manage to grab a win last week, so that's so he's coming into this match with some momentum there, so that's always something to consider. How a player's mentality may be going into a match. And Cheese has drafted a really threatening team. I think this team is kind of reminiscent of his Season 5 team. Not only because it has a Kyurem-B, but because he does have a nice bird type. He had Talon back in the day, and now he's got Holucha, which pairs nicely with Bulu. I think Holucha is a very interesting one in the format. But yeah, he's got some nice steel core in Mega Steelix and the Jirachi, which you guys can see over to the right there. And then he's got Double Waters and Volcanion and Tentacle. So he's got some exploitable weaknesses on his team for sure. But he's also got a team that can kind of support those weaknesses, and just kind of the way Cheese builds. Some unorthodox kind of sets that he'll bring to games, which can kind of either get around those weaknesses or amplify them depending on the matchup. But honestly, I'm expecting a pretty good team from Cheese in my opinion. I think he's going to bring the Jirachi. I think he's going to bring the Kyurem-B, because you really lose nothing by bringing Kyurem. Bulu could definitely come as a check to stuff like Suicune on my team, and Garchomp if he's Kebiaberry. And I am expecting the Spiritomb for Medi, because that thing is pretty much his only Metachamp switch in. Nothing else bar Rotom wants to switch in, and Rotom gets obviously blown away by Zen Headbutt. So I'm definitely expecting Spiritomb to come. Wouldn't be surprised to see double steals if he wants to free up Rachi from a rocker roll and maybe bring Steelix as the rocker and Rachi's like a Carmine set or a Scarfer or just some sort of lure set. Yeah, I could definitely see that, and Volcanion is definitely a potential. Volcanion could be Tentacle, depending on how he feels he wants to take on Suicune. But yeah, those are the mons I am expecting. But obviously, we got to prep for his whole team, so going to be running over the team that I have built for this game up against Cheese. And as you guys can see, we've got Big Papa AG chilling in the first slot this week, and is this nice lefties auto, very reminiscent of my kind of my sort of favored Selly sets that I brought last season, with the Autotomize. It's actually pronounced Autotomize, not Autonomize, which is I think how I usually pronounce it, but I prefer the way Autonomize sounds, so I'm just going to keep saying that. But yeah, you see, nice Autonomize, 2 attacks, just stabbing King Shield. So this set is pretty interesting. This AG underwent a few different changes. I had multiple AGs built for this game, but upon discussion with some of my boys, the Mount Rushmore goats, we were kind of talking about different AG sets, and I wanted this AG to accomplish a couple of roles. I wanted it to accomplish, initially I wanted it to just be a fat AG that was here to check stuff like Bulu and Lucha, but the beautiful thing about this AG is that it accomplishes a breaking and a defensive role as well. So with this offense, with an autonomized investment late game, it can potentially win, or even just break his team down to the point that another one on my team can really put in the work, and I'm going to jump into that in just a second. But yeah, this AG is nice, very nice. It's like I said, it's very close to the kind of Selly sets I brought last season. So pretty nice AG here. It does give me obviously a pretty solid wall to stuff like Lucha, to stuff like Kyurem-B, even Earth Power, Modest Life Orb cannot kill me. It does very little. I can take Life Orb Ice Beam into Earth Power and live that comfortably. Flash Cannon will kill him after rocks, if he's like a really fat Kyurem set, so that's really nice. Yeah, King Shield is very solid in conjunction with lefties, just to get back some nice lefties health during the match. And honestly, if he does bring something like Steelix, I am expecting it to be Spit F, and if I can lure that thing in with AG and just fire off Shadow Balls, chipping it down every time. Shadow Ball's doing a clean third to like specially defensive Steelix, which is pretty insane considering I'm not a boosting item. With this modest attack investment, special attack investment, I'm doing around a third to Steelix, so chipping it down, putting it in range of the next mon, which is going to be a very solid win con in this game, and that is my nice Nihilego here. So you see this nice speed boosting Nihi here. So basically the thought process behind this is his team is particularly weak to Nihilego. It's obviously he's got some solid checks in Jirachi and Steelix, as I mentioned there, but you know, AG pressures Steelix coming in a lot, and his Jirachi is obviously checked by Aegislash pretty nicely, and Foul Play is doing a ton to Rachi. So if I can just get the thing in range of Foul Play, assuming it's offensive, it'll drop at like 60%. I think like is like min. It does like 60 to 70 or something. I believe if he's offensive, and fat like Spit F variants don't appreciate Foul Plays either. With this defense investment, defensive Iron Head cannot kill my Nihilego. I also live stuff like High Jump Kick from Holucha if it's adamant and not boosted, so that's really nice. With a little bit of defense, it's amazing how many hits Nihi can take. So yeah, T-Bolt is here just to ensure that I can chip down the Tentacruel, because Tentacruel is another kind of check to autonomize Aegislash. So see the way like AG and Nihilego kind of work in tandem to wear down one another's checks and to potentially allow one another to break or sweep through this game. So that is the thought process there. Sludge Wave obviously is very solid for the Bulu, and a nice option against things that take Power Gem neutrally as well. So the next one we have here is my Granny MZ Garchomp. So pretty standard chomp this week, but yeah, Z Earthquake bypasses grassy terrain, so that's not like something like Volcanion under grassy terrain, which could usually check a standard Earthquake. Due to the effects of grassy terrain is no longer a check. Same goes with Tentacruel. Rachi, you know, all these things just get blown away by Z Earthquake, and stuff like Steelix will get really weakened by Z Earthquake. Almost put in range of like 2 Foul Plays from my Nihilego, 1 Shadow Ball from, you know, my Aegislash if he is like specially defensive or something. And yeah, this chump is just very solid. Like, he doesn't have a ton for it. It outspeeds the majority of his team. The only things outspeeding it, barring Scarfers, are Holucha. And yeah, that's it. That is the only thing that outspeeds this Garchomp. So obviously it's a pretty big threat in this game, and it's a pretty solid lead, especially if he leads with something fat like Steelix or Rachi, one of his rockers. So that's pretty nice there. Next up we have my Wakanberry Rest Talk Roaring Coon. So pretty interesting Suicune. Predominantly here to check stuff like Kyurem that wants to sub up on me. Obviously it's not a check, but it's not a counter by any means, but it can check it once with the Fusion Bolt, because I am Wakanberry. I can always roar that thing out, forcing it to take crucial rock damage, which is going to put it in range of stuff like Power Gem from Nihilego if he's like a really fat Kyurem set, which he could well be versus my team. Yeah, just a very solid mon here, because I do need to have a switch into Z Free Shock, because yeah, Kyurem is broken with Z moves. Kind of wish Cheese had just opted to go with Rachi, which was originally like his pick as one of his Z move mons. That's pretty funny, but I think someone whispered in his ear that he should probably pick Kyurem, and he quickly made that change. But yeah, Suicune here are very solid. With this Spit F investment, I avoid Modest Steam Eruption into Solar Beam from like Power Herb Solar Beam from Volcanion, killing my Coon. And yeah, Rest is just Rest is pretty important here, but Roar is nasty. Like Roar is an underappreciated move, to be honest, because like if he brings like Carmine Spiritomb, Curse Steelix, like they're getting roared out. If he brings sub SD Holucha, that thing is getting roared out. He wants to bring sub Volcanion to like sub up on my Coon, that's getting roared out. Forced to take more Rocks Chip, putting in a range of most of the things on my team. Yeah, Suicune is very nice. I can also PP stall Fusion Bolts from Kyurem quite nicely, especially if he's not Life Orb or like Electrium Z. So yeah, Coon is very nice in this game. I am expecting like a Bolt Beam, Earth Power Kyurem as well, with like max attack, potentially Life Orb. Maybe he'll have like Freeze Shock and then like max special attack. like free shock just to nuke like a Sharpedoes mod on my team like Clef, and like max special attack to deal with stuff like Aegis Slash and stuff like Mandibuzz and Quagsire. So yeah, those are things, those are kind of Kyurem sets that I'm anticipating, and this Coon is real irritation to his team. So the next one we have here is my my nice Clefable. So yeah, nice Clef, nice thick Clef, nice Magic Guard. Healing Wish, you see Healing Wish, like pretty much one of Clef's main roles in this game is to bring back something like a weakened AG, a weakened Garchomp, even a weakened Coon back to this game, and facilitate either an AG sweep easier, or bring back one of my important defensive mons or offensive mons back into this game. It also allows me to capitalize on his kind of necessary switch to Steelix or Jirachi on this Clef. So if his switch in to Clef is low enough, I can always Healing Wish on that and bring in something like Aegis Slash, which can just knock it out with Shadow Ball and then auto up and win the game. So Clef very nice here. It's able to check stuff like Modest Ice Beam from Kyurem very nicely with lefties, and the Sharpedoes. I can take Hawlucha on pretty well as well. Like he needs like I think like a max roll. He needs to kill me from full. He needs like a max roll with SD Acrobatics, and because I think if anything he'll bring like Unburden. Sorry, he won't bring Unburden because I have 2 unaware mons. He'll probably bring like Mold Breaker if he does bring Hawlucha. That's just something I was thinking, team building, and that's gonna make it harder for his Unburden Hawlucha to proc Acrobatics boost in power unless he is still like Grassy Seed with that and wants to take advantage of that. But that's going to be like, he won't be getting the speed boost from Unburden, so that's going to make like my speed boosted Nihilego potentially a bigger threat to it, stuff like that. And obviously it's walled to death by AG, so like he needs to bring Throat Chop if he wants to have a potential chance of beating Aegis Slash. So yeah, that's Clef. Seismic Toss is just here to chip down the Volcanion, to break subs on the Volcanion, to chip down Tentacruel, and to deal some pretty solid damage to the Steelix, because Steelix and Rachi, as I mentioned, 2 of his best switch-ins to Clefable, as well as his Volcanion as well, and all those mons getting chipped is something that is really appreciated by both my Aegis Slash and my Nihilego. So again, Clef coming to this game similar to the way it did versus Ace, as a supporting role that will allow my Aegis Slash to have a really nice time in this game, because it does lure in things that can check my Aegis Slash set initially, and things that really do appreciate getting that Seismic Toss chip on them. So that's the thought process behind this Clef. And the last one here we have is Mega Metacham. So yeah, I am running max speed this week. Was always going to creep Cube, because you have to respect Kyurem Black, it's a monster, and the fact that he has Rachi and the fact that it's Cheese means that like max speed Rachi is certainly not out of the question, and I'd rather have a chance to win a speed tie here whilst running like almost max speed anyway to outspeed Kyurem, than potentially lose every single chance I have to outspeed Rachi by not even trying to tie with it. It also allows me to get the jump on, potential jump on like timid max speed Tentacruel if he does want to bring that too. So yeah, Baton Blast 3 attacks. Obviously I could have gone with some interesting sets here. Could have gone with like sub Foresight for the Spiritomb, could have gone with a few other sets that I wouldn't talk about, but ultimately I decided on these 3 coverage moves, as Thunder Punch is very nice to again whittle down Tentacruel, which will just blow Tentacruel away essentially, which is one of his best Aegis Slash and Nihilego checks. So yeah, my team has a real emphasis on wearing down his responses to Aegis Slash and Nihilego, which is going to be nice. Suicune also roars out Tentacruel, forcing it to take more rocks damage as well. So yeah, there's some solid synergy in this build here, and I'm pretty excited to get into the match. So I'm just going to pause it here, and we're going to see what Cheese brought to our game. Alright guys, so we are back, and yeah, we're here with a match against Cheese. You guys can see he opted to bring a lot of the mons that I mentioned earlier in the team builder. So he did bring 5 of the 6 mons that I mentioned. He didn't bring the Bulu, which I can understand why he didn't bring it. But I've got stuff like AG. I've got like half my team threatens it offensively. I've got Vileplume, Mandibuzz. So I can understand why he didn't bring it. But on the other hand, I can also understand why he would have wanted to bring it to this game, just to kind of disrupt Chomp's ability to just destroy his team. Irritate Kun. Yeah, he does have the Volcanion here, so that's pretty much his only Suicune check, bar the Kyurem, if he's like a fat Kyurem that can try and take advantage of Suicune. So these are the things I'm kind of thinking a matchup. If he is like a berry variant of like a resist berry of Volcanion, then he's not a very good check to Suicune at all. So that's something to take note of. But he's probably going to be rocks on his Steelix. He's shown a tendency to run rocks during the season, so that means Rachi's kind of freed up to be more of an offensive role in this game. And just looking at his team, his only potential mon to outspeed my Medi and just my offense in general is either his Hawlucha or like a Scarfed Jirachi or a Scarf Kyurem. And because Scarf Kyurem is pretty bad versus me, Life Orb or just like Mixed Breaker is far better. I'm leaning towards his Rachi being Scarfed. Also, Volcanion is a potential Scarfer, but again, it's just walled by Kun, and Scarf Volcanion is walled by Clef as well. So it's in his interest not to run Scarf on that, and it's probably going to be, because it is, like I mentioned, his likely only Suicune check on his team. It's, chances are this thing isn't going to be Scarfed. So, yeah, those are my thoughts leading into the match. But, going over my team again, Nihilego's looking nice. If I can just weaken this Steelix, if I can weaken this Jirachi, and I do a foul play with the E-Belt on this Nihilego, I'm going to be looking in a good spot to win with that. Aegislash as well is also a very big threat here. Obviously, I do have to wear down the potential Spidef Steelix, but getting rocks up is really going to be nice if I can get them up. Chipping down Volcanion and Kyurem every time they come in. Hawlucha. Now this, like I mentioned earlier in the team build, I felt like if you did bring it to this game, it was going to be an unburdened set. So we're going to have to see, it wasn't going to be an unburdened set, I should say. It's probably going to be a mold breaker set, just to bypass my unaware mons. So that was kind of my thought leading into this game. But I see Hawlucha and I see no Bulu. So that's interesting. Like, it kind of, that sort of amplified my belief that this is probably going to be a mold breaker set. So probably going to be a defensive or like mixed defensive Spiritomb as well. So we're going to jump into it. We're going to lead off with my Garchomp, as he does choose to lead off with this Volcanion here. Now, the only reason he's staying in with Volcanion is if he's Scarfed Modest with HP Ice, which is not a set versus me. If he's Shuka, if he's Sash. Otherwise, he's going, in my opinion, he's going out into something like Hawlucha here. And if he goes out into Hawlucha on my Z Earthquake, I'm totally fine with that because it means I get up Rocks, and Rocks is really, really nasty for his team to face. And Volcanion switching in on Rocks later in the game will just die to an EQ if he's not Shuka. So that's my thought process here. If he does stay in and hit and Power Ice, it won't kill me. Unless he's like Modest and he gets like a really, really high roll. I'm willing to make that trade here. And if he is Shuka, which like Shuka is a fair bring because his team is extremely weak to Garchomp's EQ with no Bulu here. If he is Shuka, he's not a boosting item, which means that Clef and Kun just wall this Volcanion essentially. So I am going to go for my Z Earthquake here, as he is going to reveal the Shuka, and he's going to take 74 from that, and his Hidden Power Ice is going to do 91% to us here. So this is really nice because like Volcanion is one mon that has the natural bulk to take Shadow Balls from Aegislash like relatively well. It still takes around half from like my Modest AG, even though I don't have max special attack. It still takes a ton, but getting that thing into range of 1 is amazing because this means now if he chooses to preserve this Volcanion and I can autonomize up later on in the game, I don't have to worry about this thing being able to live a hit. He's Shuka, so he's obviously not Assault Vest or some like berry variant, so like Health Berry, so I don't have to worry about that. He's got no form of recovery outside of Wish or Healing Wish from his Jirachi, and if he wants to revive this Volcanion, I'm really not too fussed about that. I do have Kun, I do have Clef, which both check this thing defensively, and Garchomp, Nihilego, and Medicham, which check it offensively by outspeeding it, and then of course my Aegislash. So yeah, Volcanion really isn't doing a ton this game, and just on the off chance that he wanted to go hard out into Hawlucha here, I am going to Dragon Claw. Getting up Rocks would have been a fine play here, but the fact that I have Healing Wish on Clef in the back means that sacking Garchomp now to get up Rocks potentially gives his Hawlucha a defog next turn, and or like sort of early during the game, and it means I lose my Garchomp. But preserving Garchomp's health, being able to keep it as a sack or just keep it around to healing Wish Up with Clef later on in the game could be massive here. So I am going to click Dragon Claw here, as it covers him staying in, attempting to attack my Chomp on the Rocks play, or it covers him going into Hawlucha, getting big damage off putting that thing in range of anything on my team. So that's pretty nice. We remove the Volcanion turn 2 of the game, and in comes the Rachi. Now, I don't think Cheese is running double Shuka. Like I said at matchup, I feel like this is a Scarf Rachi. It's his only viable Scarfer here. Nothing else is viable. Like, obviously Kyurem's a viable Scarfer in a lot of games, but versus my team in particular, it's really not. Like, it's checked by Edge Slash, it's checked by Coon, it's checked by Clefable. It's just not that good. Like, it's a good sort of offense breaker versus my frail offense, but it's very punishable if I've got Clef and Coon and AG in the back. So I really don't think that was his bring this week, and the fact that he brings Jirachi in like this really screams that he's gonna be scarfed and probably click U-turn, maybe Iron Head here, but I feel like U-turn is his better play overall, as it kills Chomp and it gets momentum on my switch in. So no reason to sack Chomp here. I am going to go into my Aegislash here, as Aegislash matches up amazingly versus the rest of his team. If he wanted to go Kyurem, I just click Flash Cannon. If he wanted to go Steelix, he's probably going to Rocks, which actually he does end up doing. If he wanted to go Hawlucha, I obviously just click Shadow Ball, and Spiritomb cannot do much to me. I can always King Shield on that, scout what move it wants to lock itself into, or if it's special, it's going to go for Dark Pulse, or Shadow Ball. If it's physical, it's probably going to go for Pursuit. So AG was all around the best play there, as it does keep out a lot of his more offensive mons and instead forces in the Steelix. So that is what he is going to go into. I'm just going to make the switch this turn out into my Suicune. Rocks are a pretty obvious important play on Cheese's part right here. Like, he had a lot of reasons to click Rocks here and not to attack, but there is absolutely no point risking health on AG at this stage in the match, when it checks Jirachi most likely and it checks Hawlucha. And my Coon is a real irritation to his team, because outside of Kyurem, he doesn't have a lot that wants to switch into this Suicune. And if Kyurem switches in on a Skull and he catches a burn, then he has absolutely no hope of breaking my Coon, let alone a Coon with Wakan Berry. So yeah, Suicune is a real menace to his team right now. So he is going to go into Hawlucha, interestingly enough, this turn, as they do fire off the Scald, so he risks the burn here. I'm guessing, yeah, he just didn't want to risk me Scald burning his Kyurem there, so maybe he identified Hawlucha as the most expendable one at this stage in the game, just because I do have Clef, I do have AG, and that would have, if anything were to go down or get burnt, perhaps he figured Hawlucha would be the best. And honestly, I agree with that. Hawlucha isn't doing a ton this game, and had I calm-minded up that turn or subbed or something, and this was an encore Hawlucha, that could have been a bit annoying. So this turn I am going to click Scald again, as he is just going to fire off a sub and reveal Citrus Berry. So he's sub, he's citrus, so this could still be, certainly could still be an unburdened set. Just because of sub citrus, like, why wouldn't you be that if you were, like, I don't see sub citrus being a mold breaker variant. I think if he's mold breaker, he's probably going to want to be a boosting item to help him break past my unaware mons, which is the whole point of running mold breaker here. So unburden, very interesting. Potentially sub pass into Kyurem, which is a possibility. But the beauty of spamming Scald here is that it avoids being Encore locked, and it avoids him being able to safely pass a sub out, because I'll be able to break his sub every single time. So this turn he is going to sub once more, as I Scald him again. Now, it gets to this stage, and he's sub twice. Like, he's adamant about subbing, and I'm like, what if he's sub Endeavor? So this is not something I wanted to allow to go unpunished. If he was sub Endeavor, chances are he's going to sub one more time just to get to a minimum amount of health, and then Endeavor down my Coon, which would really limit my Coon's ability to switch in to anything. Like, I wouldn't be able to switch into anything on his team if he did go for Endeavor here and bring me down really low. I'd pretty much be forced to Healing Witch with Clef, because Clef is pretty, like, it's not useless, it's nice for checking this Hawlucha, the Spiritomb and the Kyurem, but whilst Steelix and Jirachi are around, there are solid roadblocks to Clef doing anything here. So apart from spamming Seismic Toss, so Healing Wish would be, yeah, I guess expendable on Clef at that stage, but I'm going to do one better. I'm just going to roar him here, as he does go for sub. So we roar him out. We essentially remove Holuch's Unburden there, so he will now be outsped by +1 Nihilego, and my Aegislash after an Autotomize. So going to bring in his Jirachi here, and he's now going to fire off the Energy Ball as I do just click Skull this turn. Had he gone for the trick there, that would have crippled my Coon because it would have swapped his Choice Scarf for my Wakanberry, but the beauty in that is it would have allowed my Nihilego to be able to outspeed it without a speed boost, so he would no longer be able to switch in. Like, had he tricked me there, after that getting that Skull damage off, he would no longer be able to switch into like a Power Gem into a Foul Play, as with the E-Belt that would have put Offensive Rachi in range to die to a Foul Play. So I was okay with him crippling my Coon for the ability that my Nihilego would then have to win the game. A lot easier with this Rachi not scarfed, because that just removes Nihilego's need to get the initial speed boost. Obviously, the Steelix is still a bit annoying, but we've got ways to pressure Steelix. So yeah, I'm gonna stay in here and Scald, and I did really feel like he would probably go for the U-turn there. If anything, like, Trick was a fair play if he had it, but as I said, I had my reasons for allowing that to happen if that were the case. But right here I am going to go for the Scald, as he's now going to switch out to Kyurem Black this turn, as I do go for the Scald of my... I do go for the Scald once again. If I got another Scald off on Rachi, he was guaranteed in range of Foul Play, like, even with a min roll. And he's now going to switch in his Kyurem, so yeah, Suicune, real issue to his team, as Kyurem is now going to come in, and because I know I can live even a Z Fusion Bolt from this Kyurem, because of my defensive investment and my Wakanberry, and my ability for Coon to rest up on Spiritomb and Steelix with ease, and even Jirachi if he locks himself into the wrong move. I can always get a rest up later, and I can always Healing Wish up with Clef if I need to. I am actually going to Roar here, because the likelihood of him going for Ice Beam or Sub there, or even Earth Power predicting my Aegislash to come in, were very high. And that Ice Beam damage reveals that he is very invested in special attack, most likely max special attack, but I don't see a Life Orb there, so that's good information to know. He's probably going to be a Resist Berry, or he's going to be a Z move, potentially Z Free Shock with Fusion Bolt, Ice Beam and Earth Power. Definitely all possible, though the way he sacked off his Volcanion early implies this could be a bulky Kyurem with Roost potentially to check my Coon. So all these things going through my head here, as I do Roar him out, and he is going to get sent out into the Holucha here. So this turn I am going to go into my Aegislash, as he does go for the Encore here. So we get him there. The reason going Coon was, switching out from Coon into AG there was my best possible play. Was it covered Encore, which this Holucha kind of like implied it had by the way it switched into Coon earlier on a Skull. Like the way he switched in earlier was either indicating that he viewed Holucha as the most the least important mon to him at that stage, and he was willing to risk it getting burnt, the most expendable kind of mon here, or he expected me to sub or Calm Mind or something like that, and he wanted to Encore me. Now switching into AG there covered him going for like a last ditch effort high jump kick to deal as much damage as he could to Coon, and it also covered him going for like Acro, and it also covered him going for Encore there. So all out, like at the end of the day, like AG was 100% the play there, as now he is going to go for a last ditch effort Throat Chop, and that does 30. So AG chewing, Big Papa chewing, getting its first kill of the game, and yeah, we're going to get some nice lefties back here. So now Kyurem's going to come back in, no reason not to go for the King Shield here, as if he is sub, which was a very fair play of him to sub at that stage in the game, that tells me a lot about his moveset. So he's sub, he's Ice Beam, he's going to have Earth Power for AG, otherwise he's just checked by it. And then he's probably going to have Fusion Bolt for the Suicune, otherwise he's walled by Suicune. Now this means that he could well be Gigavolt Havoc on the Fusion Bolt for the Suicune, or he could be Sub-Zero Slammer on his like a max special attack Ice Beam to help him beat stuff like Mandiboz and Clefable. But the fact that he's that moveset means that he can't beat Clefable. Clefable is a better check to it at this stage in the game, factoring in the possibility that he could be a Z Fusion Bolt, because Kyurem can do a lot to my Suicune with a Z Fusion Bolt, and switching in to Suicune right here is not the play. It's always going Clef, because I can live an Earth Power into a Z move, as I will be able to softball it up any damage that he deals to me. So he's going to go for the Earth Power there, further confirming my kind of suspicions of his set. So he's sub Earth Power Ice Beam and his max special attack. He's probably not going to have Roost because that set would be just walled by Clef. It would be walled by Coon, as I mentioned earlier. So he's probably going to have Fusion Bolt. So this turn I am just going to recover up as he does fire off the Ice Beam, and Thick Clef is going to chew that. It takes 35, so yeah. Yeah, some people in the NPL are under the opinion that Clefable is a bad mon. This thing is the best fairy in the format. Like, you need to understand this. Like, Clefable is incredible. But yeah, his Kyurem is now going to spam Ice Beam, as that's really his hardest hitting move, I think. At this stage, I really felt like he would go for the Ice Beam into the Z Ice Beam, or Ice Beam into Z Fusion Bolt. And the way I was playing this Clef was I wanted to leave it at a range of health where it would be outside of dying to a max roll of both in succession. So I am out of range of a max roll Sub-Zero Slammer, so I am just going to softball it up here as he makes a switch into his Rachi. So Clef is back at full. Kyurem's move set is essentially revealed by the last move, and I know that Clef is a pretty safe switch into that every time. And if he does want to sub, he's going to lose 25%, just putting him further in range of... well, he's in range of everything now. He's in range of Moonblast, he's in range of Flash Cannon, Dragon Claw, Drain Punch, Power Gem, so the only thing that can't kill it at this stage is Suicune. And because he's not Scuff Kyurem, he's probably Scuff Rachi, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, going AG every time into this Rachi is pretty safe, as he is going to U-turn here, which does award me just more lefties with King Shield this turn. So yeah, AG staying nice and healthy, as his Steelix is going to come in here and press Earthquake. I'm not sure why his Steelix sprite isn't showing on my screen, but thanks Siri. I didn't ask you a question, but I don't know why. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but anyway, yep. So I'm gonna bring in my Coon on his Steelix's Earthquake here, as Coon is thick. We take 26 from, and that's an invested. Like that has some investment. I think he could be adamant with. He's not max attack, but he has some attack investment. I've seen some of the spreads that Cheese likes to run, and they are like mixed defenses with some attack investment. So that's what I felt like he was in that set, and based on the calcs, the damage he was dealing implied that there. So now Coon is going to get back up to full with the rest, and Rachi's going to come back out. Now every time Rachi fires off an attack, it's a bit of a 50-50 in the sense that he could well go for U-turn expecting AG, or he could stay in and spam Energy Ball versus my Coon, but I don't lose a ton by staying in for at least one turn and scouting, because as you guys can see, Energy Ball is not a 3-hit KO on my Coon. So unless he gets the Spit F drop, which he just does there, so that's pretty unfortunate. But I do Sleep Talk a Roar, which is going to roar out his Jirachi into his Steelix. So a bit of, I guess, like luck on his end with the Energy Ball, but I get kind of lucky too with the Sleep Talk rolls, rolling him out into Steelix there. But you know, I wouldn't have minded a Scald on Rachi, as I mentioned earlier. That would have put it in range of a foul play from my Nihilego. So as long as I didn't Sleep Talk anything but rest there, I would have been in a pretty solid spot. But now he's gonna get rolled out to his Steelix, as I am gonna burn another turn of sleep this turn, and I do get the roar once again with my Coon. So in comes the in is going to come the Spiritomb here, and chances are he's going to want to keep this thing healthy for Medi, because Medi is now a massive threat to his team. Drain Punch just goes in, and yeah, Spiritomb is his last line of defense versus that monster. And chances are he's going to want to switch out here to reserve health on that, because if he risks that getting burnt and he's a physical Spiritomb, then he's going to be in a pretty tough spot. So I am just going to click Scald once again as the Rachi comes in. And yeah, the water is cold today, not getting any burns, but you know, it is what it is. It's a 30% chance. So now Jirachi's going to come in, and he's going to be now in range of foul play, which is amazing for me, as this turn he does make the U-turn play on my pretty obvious AG there. But every time he does this, like, I don't lose a lot from it, because every time he brings in Steelix, as long as my Coon is at a high enough amount of health where it can rest after taking the Earthquake it needs to on the turn it switches in, I'm in a fine spot because he really can't do much to break my Coon or my AG. So right now I am going to switch back out into my Suicune, as he's actually going to fire off the Toxic this turn, and that's fine. Toxic accomplishes the same thing there that Earthquake would have done, albeit in a less extreme way. Earthquake would have forced me into a range of health where I probably had to rest up there to put myself out of range of the next Earthquake if I wanted to switch in and take rocks. Toxic does a similar thing, like it places pressure on Coon to rest, but it places a little bit less pressure, if that makes any sense. I was going to rest up anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. Going to click rest, as now his Raichu is going to come back in here. So this turn he is going to click Energy Ball, as I am going to Sleep Talk. Burn my first turn of sleep, as I do click Scald once again. Not getting any burns, unfortunately, versus this Raichu, but that is all good. I am just going to Sleep Talk again. I get rest, and right here I'm going to click rest once again, as I do wake up this turn, and I can just get back up to full here. So Coon is back up to a nice amount of health, and this turn I am going to switch out to Aegislash, because if right there he stayed in and clicked Energy Ball once again, which as you can see he did, because he's obviously faster than my Coon and he's stayed in as I switched out, this is going to award my Aegislash's Shadow Ball versus his team, and he showed his Aegislash response to be Steelix, so this is what I wanted. I wanted Aegislash to get in and force in the Steelix to weaken it for my Nihilego to win. So he is going to fire off the Energy Ball. That does 8, so we're going to heal that pretty much back up to full with the lefties, as I am going to fire off a nice modest Shadow Ball, and that does 38, so a nice sizable chunk to the Steelix, as that thing is getting chipped. It's not going to want to switch in. It's going to take, next time it switches in basically to my Aegislash, it's going to be 2-KO'd, as AG does outspeed the Steelix, so we'll be able to 2-KO with the Shadow Ball. And right here this turn I am going to make the switch out into my Suicune, as he makes the nice double out into his Jirachi this turn, expecting my switch there to my Coon. So this is a nice spot here, because this is an interesting spot. He can U-turn here. He can Energy Ball, predicting my Coon to stay in and burn a turn of sleep. He can U-turn. He can U-turn as well, predicting my Aegislash to come in. But he is actually going to stay in an Energy Ball, as I do burn one turn of sleep, and I am just going to fire off the rest with the Sleep Talk. As this turn he is going to make the double out into Steelix, he's going to make the switch out. It wasn't a double. He's going to make the switch out into Steelix as I make the switch out into my Clefable there. So the reason he switched to Steelix was he expected me to go to my Aegislash that turn, as Aegislash chewed Energy Balls and forced his Steelix in to take another Shadow Ball and get 2-KO'd. But I am actually going to go into my Clef here, which covered both him staying in with Raichu and clicking Energy Ball, and him going Steelix. Reason being, I do have the Healing Wish, so I'm going to proc that and revive my Chomp and bring my big Chomp out. And this is a really nice point for me here, because if I weaken this Steelix or just take it out, he is essentially going to lose to my Nihilego if I can get a little bit of chip on his Spiritomb. So if he wants to switch out and preserve health on his Steelix, then something else. Jirachi dies to EQ, Spiritomb takes a big chunk, which is really nice for Medicham, and Kyurem is 2-KO by Earthquake into Dragon Claw, just 2 Earthquakes. So Garchomp attacking was my play there. I certainly could have gone for the rocks there, like the Stealth Rocks play, but I don't really need rocks, because Spiritomb is already going to be pressured by a lot of my team, and I'd rather just take out Steelix, given the chance, or just put him in range of Rough Skin if he does want to go for it. But I feel like Earthquake is his best play overall. Heavy Slam probably doesn't do as much to Garchomp as Earthquake, I feel like, because Garchomp is heavy. I'm not sure. I don't have the calcs, but either way, by clicking Earthquake here, you avoid taking Rough Skin damage. But Cheese is going to fire off the Heavy Slam, so he is going to die to Recall here, so the Rough Skin. So this means that Nihilego is looking like a real threat now. So yeah, his Spiritomb is going to come in here. I want to get damage off on this thing. I am going to go for the Earthquake, my strongest hitting attack, and that does 43, as his Foul Play is going to make contact with me, again taking Rough Skin, putting him below 50. So after lefties he will be at around 51%, and he's at a range of health where if I can get a little bit more chip, he's going to be in range of Nihilego. So the reason I went Medi here as opposed to going Aegislash, which would have potentially got the kill on a fully Fizz-Def Spiritomb, is he took that Earthquake not as well as he could have if he was max phys def, so that kind of leads me to believe that he's probably like a little bit mixed defensive, and losing my Aegis Slash to a foul play after failing to take him out with a Shadow Ball potentially would be a little bit annoying. Granted, like, I would be able to still win with Nihilego. It'd be a little bit annoying, and I don't want my AG to die. I want that thing to keep getting kills and to get as little deaths as possible if I can help it. And my Medicham isn't as needed for this endgame. And if he doesn't have Shadow Sneak, one foul play won't be able to kill me, so I'll be able to 2-hit KO him with the Thunder Punch. Also, if he did have Pain Split and he was able to live a hit from Nihilego or AG, he'd be able to heal back up to a nice amount of health, and that's not what I want. I want to keep this thing low. Medicham has the lowest amount of health out of all my remaining mons, so overall going into this thing was my best play, as this turn I am just going to go for the Thunder Punch, as it caught his Rachi potentially trying to switch in on like an Ice Punch or a Foresight or something like that, and it dealt the same amount of damage obviously that Ice Punch did here. So yeah, he's going to take 37 from that Thunder Punch, and he is going to foul play into Shadow Sneak and take out my Medi, as this will give me my Nihilego here. So Spiritom's at a range of health where it is very likely to go down to a Thunderbolt. It will certainly die to a Power Gem, and Cheese took a long time to think about this turn here. Power Gem obviously kills this, and if I get a Speed Boost, I just win. If I'm a Scarfed Nihilego, which I could well be, because I've kind of played my team in such a way that I remove Scarfed Nihilego's win sort of checks from this game. If I'm Scarfed Nihilego and I get the special attack boost after killing this Spiritomb, he'll lose to +1 Power Gem. But if I'm not a Scarf variant and I'm just like a E-Belt set, which I am, or some other set like some other Resist Berry, Power Gem won't kill his Jirachi, and he'll be able to outspeed me the next turn if he does decide to switch in here. And going Jirachi would avoid my Nihilego getting a stat boost from killing his Spiritomb here, so Thunderbolt covers him staying in because chances are it will kill, and it also covers him going Rachi, which ends up being the play he does decide to make. Now, I fully back Cheese's play there going Rachi, because me going Power Gem versus the Spiritomb was a safe play. Like that was the safe play for sure, as had he gone Rachi on my Power Gem, I still could have played around it with Aegis Slash and Suicune, as his Spiritomb was in range of Shadow Ball guaranteed, his Kyurem couldn't kill me with Earth Power, and his Rachi was just walled by my AG. But I was more likely to go for the Power Gem there anyway, and that at least like gave him more of a chance to play around my team in the end game, like healing Wish Rachi into Kyurem maybe, but I still had Wakan Berry on my Suicune intact, and I had a full health Aegis Slash pretty much, as well as a Nihilego which outsped it and bopped it with Power Gem. So yeah, he was in a pretty tough spot there, but he made the play into Rachi, hoping to capitalize, I guess, on me not being able to kill his Rachi in one hit, and Iron Head flinching me down or healing wishing or something like that at that point. So we do get the Rachi there, as he's now going to bring in his Kyurem, and I am just going to be able to Power Gem 2 more times and take out his last remaining mon. So that was, yeah, definitely a fun game versus Cheese. I feel like he played it well. His team was kind of ill prepared for some of the threats that I brought to this game, but I feel like if I'd really focused on prepping for his other threats, stuff like Encore Holucha really would have put in the work this game, and maybe had I played my Kun a little bit differently, his Holucha could have taken advantage of that a bit more. But overall, I think very happy with the way this game went. The team put in work, and yeah, it was fun to play Cheese again. Haven't played him in a long time, since like midway through last season, so yeah, it was definitely good to play Cheese again. I think he played well here, and he built a solid team. I'm really interested to see his perspective of the game, because he does live comms, and I do recommend you guys go and check that out, because he's giving his thought process as it's happening. So yeah, that's always interesting to hear. Yeah, that's going to be my week 5 game. So yeah, we're looking good. We are. I won't go into the standings, as that's kind of a spoiler for the other games. So I'll just leave it there. But yeah, we're in a very good spot. So gonna end the video here, guys. If you did like it, then drop a like on the video and let me know in the comments your thoughts on the game and the match. Next week we face off against Merc, so that's going to be an interesting game. He's got the Tapulele squad, so yeah, that'll be a fun one. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Hope you did enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.